Waking up to a brand new me, I gear up and check on the generators. With the addition of a second one, it looks like they'll last a little bit more than a month. Entering the car, I make my way to the school. In order to survive and perhaps even thrive in this environment, I'll need to learn more than what I currently know. I need to stop being a careless lumberjack and instead become a well-prepared one. I've built myself a little library at home and will have enough storage space for all the books that I'll need. Grabbing all the books from the school, I make my way into the residential area. I want to find the third generator, more food, and any other books that I'm still missing. So a stop to the bookstore is mandatory. And I pick up a clothes rack that I like better next door. My plan is to turtle up, get fit, strong, become a jack of all trades, and make myself self-sufficient as fast as possible. As summer is nearly over and fall approaches, there will be more storms coming my way. After finding all I could today, I return home to stash my loot. I take care of the rack and change into something comfortable, get cozy, and go to sleep. Today, my plan is to go to Doe Valley to check its bookstore for more books, search the police station for weapons, and look for farming supplies at the local shop. They also have guns in the back. I'm greeted by the untouched zombie population as I secure my parking spot, knowing I'll need some time to explore the stores here. Thankfully, the population here is even lower than in Rosewood, so I don't expect much trouble. However, I couldn't help but notice that unlike the early days of the infection, there are no more crawlers, and their sprinters are in larger numbers now. If I'm correct, their numbers will keep on increasing until everyone is a sprinter. Seriously, what were they thinking in that lab? I'm not sure if there's enough ammo in the county for that. Surely my axe is not going to cut it if they're all sprinters. Hopefully, I'll find some army-grade weapons and learn how to make my own bullets. But first, make yourself sustainable, Costa. Worry about bullets later. You're not going to make any bullets if you don't eat and can't run faster than them. The police station doesn't have much. It's a small town after all. They probably grabbed all the weapons and ammo they could when this situation hit the fan. Moving on to the farming supplies, I find tree saplings, gardening sprays, water cans, farming magazines, army-grade clothing, fishnets, and even though I didn't find a decent shotgun I can use, I grab more ammo and weapon parts for when I do find something more efficient. I come back home getting ready to sleep. I start my day by sorting out my inventory and connecting the generator I picked up. After filling it up, I have 48 days until I need to refuel them. I spend the rest of my day sorting out all the loot from the previous day. I change into the army gear after checking that it is less insulated than the current outfit I have and might provide a little bit more stealth. I designate specific areas in the garage for different items. Tools here, crafting materials there, and all my electronics in another section. This garage is starting to resemble a tool shed instead. I also grabbed this dumpster just in case there's something I no longer need. Starting a new routine, I exercise in the morning using the treadmill. I need to be able to run faster than the sprinters and for longer periods of time. I never saw them getting exhausted or in need of a break, unlike me. I doubt they were all joggers before they turned. The virus must push the body to its breaking point, which explains the faster decomposition process, as the body likely consumes starch proteins and lipids to keep it going. Maybe that's why they're so hungry for fresh meat. Continuing to sort my inventory, I realized that I need to focus on becoming a craftsman, no longer just a gatherer. There are no more steel factories or handy stores to pick up new materials. I need to learn how to make them myself, so I can turn whatever I find into whatever I need. I start with a handy couch for the man cave I've built. I prefer to have somewhere comfy to sit while I do all the reading that I need. After that, a bit more jogging followed by reading while I rest, and repeat. My muscles are getting sore from this. But since everything I have planned will be done inside my safe place, I can afford the exhaustion and pain until I get used to running. After a day of running, I wash myself, take some painkillers, and go to sleep. Hearing a gunshot in the morning west of me, I quickly check out the window to see if I can spot anyone. But I see no one. It didn't sound far away though. At least there are still people out there fighting. Or I hope they are, as I can't shake the feeling that the solitary shot might be like what Oliver did to himself. Continuing the same routine as yesterday, I make progress on axe wielding, fitness, and strength, pushing through the pain with painkillers as I want to become accustomed to running as fast as possible. As the days pass with this routine, time flies by without me noticing, and before I know it, I'm no longer tired anymore from running or feeling pain after using the treadmill. I ease off on it and focus more on reading books. Maintenance and cooking are given priority to make my weapons last longer, and cooking so I can stretch out the food I have. This is followed by electrical and mechanic skills to be able to hotwire cars. Then some metalworking to make much needed repairs on my poor beaten up car. I also focus on becoming nimble to improve my combat effectiveness, enabling me to move and chop at the same time. After that, it's only fair to read a book on sprinting, along with another one about tailoring to patch myself up. I also delve into fitness books because of all of this running, and I throw in some reading about cooking while I cook. And finally, I delve into reading about blacksmithing so I can make my own tools, then fishing and foraging. I take a walk outside to check out my new nimble pace, training a little bit while at it. Then, chilling outside in the nice weather, I flip through a book on trapping. After all that reading, I go for a walk, foraging for stones to build a stone furnace. That will be my next step towards self-sustainability. If I'm able to recycle all the broken cars around the place and create my own weapons, tools, and bullets, I can focus on my objective of finding the ones responsible for this mess. I still have faith humanity won't go extinct even after this. After all, I'm alive. The shots and screams I hear every so often just reinforce that I'm not the only one. The only thing that makes sense in my head as to why I don't see anyone is that everyone still alive has bunkered down and is probably getting ready to survive themselves. I might as well have a head start preparing for when there are people around and make a safe haven. Having found the 15 stones I needed, I make my way to the back garden and build my stone furnace. After grabbing a few logs, I eat and go to sleep. I keep gathering logs and make a few crates for all the new materials that I'll produce. After breaking down all the jewelry I've collected so far, I make an anvil. To do smithing, I'll need 2 items: some smithing tongs, which I've already learned how to make, and bellows to heat up the furnace. So I start practicing by making some iron ingots and melting them again, followed by making forks, which I broke every single time due to inexperience. Then I take the rest of the day to read the next volume on smithing. I keep practicing, this time crafting butter knives, with similar results to the forks. Then I move on to small metal sheets, followed by normal sized ones. I'm improving rapidly. The ability to recycle my failures back into the furnace with minimal metal loss is a big help, though there's still some waste involved. After this, and a bit of gunpowder alchemy, I'll be able to craft my own ammo. I'll focus on 9mm bullets and shotgun shells for now. All I need is to find a suitable shotgun. When I say suitable shotgun, I mean one that isn't a double pump. Constant reloading could get me killed by sprinters, as I can't run and reload simultaneously. So I'm on the lookout for a M590 or SPAS 12 semi-automatic shotgun, both with a 7+1 magazine tube. With 8 shells, I should be able to handle whatever sprinters come my way, using the handgun for emergencies. Of course, before I even think about that, I need to take it slow. I've never shot a gun, and I'm not exactly skilled at it. I also cracked the barrel to make charcoal to fuel the furnace once I gained enough experience. I'm quite proud of how smooth it turned out. Anyway, I toss in some logs and let them burn, yielding charcoal for later use. After some practice, I have enough confidence to craft bullets. I create molds and use gunpowder salvaged from bullets I won't use, starting with batches of 9mm rounds. Then I do the same for shotgun shells. I have the ammo now, I just need a weapon to go with it. 23 boxes of 9mm and 33 boxes of shells should do for now. After that, I fill up the barrel with another load of logs to prevent it from filling up with water later on. A storm hits today, so I stay indoors, catching up with more books. It's really rough out there. I kind of miss the weather channels now. With 2 weeks of self-improvement out of the way and the storm calming down, it's time for the next stage, getting my mechanics skills on par with the car. Currently, my knowledge is limited to changing its lights, so I plan on cheating. Instead of changing lights over and over again, I'll look for a video type that will teach me more of the basics. The last thing I need is to be left stranded somewhere without shelter nearby. There is a VHS store near the gas station, so I'll start looking for one there. If not, Muldra or March Ridge will have it. Getting there, it's obvious I am in trouble. There isn't a single crawler anywhere. Zombies that show evident exposed femur fractures are walking. This shouldn't be possible. I get out of the car, sweat covering my face over the number of sprinters I see disguised as rain. I'm actually thankful for this rain cooling me down. I keep my head on a swivel, can't afford to get bitten, or even worse, get dragged down and eaten alive. As I enter, my worst nightmare begins. An alarm is triggered. I have two choices: run and risk facing a packed horde upon my return, or attempt to deal with them one at a time as they arrive. I clench my jaw and trust my training. I need to be brave. Oof, that wasn't so bad. Oh, a cool t-shirt. Oh shit! Alright, I need to stop being so cocky. Overconfidence will be the death of me. I read the start and managed to find one cassette tape. That will do. Holy moly! What are all these guys doing here? Darn, maybe they clustered here because of all the noise my car makes. Right, let's take care of this bad boy. One of these days I'll crash into this truck. I stash the loot from today and go to sleep. Today with some company. Damn it. I'm going crazy, aren't I? What is a grown-ass man doing sleeping with a teddy? Oh well, it makes me feel less lonely. I watch that tape as soon as possible. I don't want to delay that car repair anymore. Everything is pretty much broken, and with this weather, I would prefer not to be drenched all the time. Hold up. In this weather, where exactly am I repairing the car? Alright, okay. Change of plans. I need a garage, but how big? I'll grab a few cars to measure it, I guess. I read the next volume on mechanics until the rain stops and go out to get a few cars. This tape was enough for me to get the skill required to hotwire cars together with what I know about electrics. And here we go! Let me grab a gas can before I go. Oh yeah, the generators. Let me check how much gas I still have left. Nice! Still 25 days left with fuel. I should have plenty of time to build a garage. I get in and proceed to my very first hot wire experience. I must admit, I feel like a burglar right now. Nice! It worked! I mean, this is not my first car I, relocate? But due to the hot wiring, it legit feels like a Grand Theft Auto now. I top up a little bit of fuel and bring it back to the base. I repeat the process with 4 more cars and bring them back to base. I made sure they are all standard cars, as with my level of skill I should be able to uninstall and install most of the parts without an issue, and when I'm halfway skilled at this, I can do it all. Vans and sport cars are a little bit more tricky, and 5 cars are more than enough to keep me busy all day. This is more or less how big the garage will be. I don't want 5 cars, but better have and not need it, right? Let me empty the rest of the cans inside the generator. Heck, I'll just fill them all up again. Ah yes, 60 days. 2 whole months without having to worry about this. Fantastic. Grabbing my wood axe for tomorrow, I read a few magazines before going to sleep. I chop as many trees as I possibly can carry. The light rain washes the sweat away, cooling me down, so I don't mind it as much. I start by peeling part of the roof to get an idea of how much space I'll need for the walls, and placing supports to prevent it from crumbling down. Fortunately, it stopped raining midway through the day. I hope it stays like that for a little while, as we enter September and the temperatures are going to drop. Oh, also, I just realized I haven't shared my nightly routine. I wash all the sweat, dirt and blood off of me and my clothes before bed. Also, don't forget to brush your teeth. There are no dentists to help you out now. You don't want a tooth infection to take you out of all things. I gather more wood while the cold morning air is still around. Returning to build a roof before more rain comes my way. I decided to use similar tiles to my current roof for my own peace of mind, as any other kind of tile seems off, and I'm not re-roofing the entire house just because of my OCD and aesthetic taste. With the roof completed, the construction of the walls begins, leaving the window spaces for last. I choose the white cinder blocks for the looks of the garage. I think it suits it well. Then, I take the wood supports out and replace it with the cinder block corners. And finally, a concrete floor for the rest of it. The garage is finally taking shape into its final form, and I was blessed with good weather while doing it. I really enjoy building and crafting. It keeps my mind off things. I could spend the rest of my life crafting and I would be happy. I never knew I had this creative side inside of me. As a bonus, I can now build up my mechanics skill without getting wet, and have an extra car or two in case I get one wrecked. I tidy up my mess and start working on the cars. I still mess up on installing some of the parts, but it's fine. As humans, we learn best by making mistakes and learning from them. Well, at least when it comes to self-development, not when you make a zombie virus that ends civilization. No one learned anything from that, except how to survive on your own, at the cost of 5 billion lives. I doubt even 1% of the human population survived this. After a few days of this routine, I start getting better. I can replace the parts without damaging them, but I can't yet repair the engine. So I push on until I can ensure the engine will make as little noise as possible. As I keep going with my now normal routine of repairing cars, I forgot one little tiny detail. Generators still need to be maintained. I run to put the fire out once I hear the explosion. Grabbing the fire extinguisher, I find that the fire has already spread all over the place. I start by trying to save the tool shed, but the intense heat and fuel sweeping through the walls make it impossible. In the chaos, my hand is burned by the flames. I extinguish myself, noticing I sustained heavy damage from that burn, so I approach it more carefully now. Noticing the fire inside the house, I rush to put it out. I managed to save my diary notes, but not before it burned 9 days of it. This is a lot of damage. I lost all my generators, tools, crafting materials, all the magazines, and the videotapes. Better than losing it all, I guess. But this burned hand is going to take some time to heal. I'll clean it, as painful as it is, and keep a sterilized bandage on it, changing it every 12 hours to prevent infection. As much as I want to go and get new materials and tools to repair this damage, I have to stay inside, as I can barely hold my hacks like this. Saying that, I don't have much of a choice. I'm taking painkillers to briefly forget about the pain, and go search of more bottles of disinfectant and a new generator to preserve my food. I'll start with the doctor's office, then look in some garages to find a generator. My dumb careless self nearly got me killed. Maybe I'm going to bring about my own doom, not a zombie. The doctor's office was closed during the week before this whole thing started. Thinking back, that was suspicious. But only now that I'm here, I connected those points. Maybe they were among the first ones getting infected. I clear the building and gather all the supplies I need. As I'm entering the last room I need to check, I'm presented with the campfire? There's a figure on the ground. Approaching her, I realize that she isn't a zombie. She was just a normal person. She never turned. It appears she was shot in the back of the head, as indicated by the blood splatters and the bullet still lodged in the wall. Why was there a campfire here? Looking closely, there's a lot of papers in there. I find a sheet of paper that I can still make some words out of it. It's a report of some kind. With the date, and perhaps the word Louisville. Weird, but this is my first clue to sniff out what happened here. Grabbing the note and putting this thought in the back of my mind, I make track for the residential area. I search garage after garage until I find the generator and come back home. Plugged it in a safer space this time, away from any storage, turned it on and went to sleep afterwards, taking painkillers to help me through the night. I pick up the remnants of my previous living room and consider how lucky I was that this was all the damage I'll need to repair. It could have been so much worse. Hold up! Well, that's busted. Might as well replace the garage door too. But for that to happen, I'll need the sledgehammer, which was in the tool cabinet. So with no sledgehammer to do this, I consider getting more gas, as I used most of it in the late generators. That's when it hits me. I can make my own tools now. So I fire up the furnace and start making myself a fancy looking sledgehammer. My training is already bearing fruit, although I wouldn't be in this situation in the first place if I paid more attention to the generators and less to my skills. The demolition starts, and I suddenly come across a problem. I can't replace the roof of the garage in the same way that it was built. I can only do plain tiles. Maybe I'll just demolish the garage itself and put all the item storage in my new garage. So apart from planks, I just need crafting materials. But since I can make most of them as long as I have metal, I should be fine. Nails are the next in line, and I place the walls down. I learned that a paintbrush is not something I can craft, so another trip to the warehouse gets added to my to-do list. Before the day ends, I put down the flooring. I finish upstairs and return to learning about car repairs. I want my Beetle in top shape before going there, just in case. Besides, it's not like I can do much with my hand in this state, although it's feeling better and I'm in less pain now. Once I had the required skill to repair my car, I jumped straight into it. The first thing I want to do is uninstall the broken parts and repair everything to a somewhat decent level, as the car is in a very bad shape. And of course, now it starts raining. Well, I'm wet already, might as well keep on going. With the broken parts repaired, I leave the rest for tomorrow. Getting the car inside, I start preparing the rest as best as I can, using the car next to it for the parts I'm missing. After that, it's a matter of dealing with the extras like a roof rack for extra storage room and some armor to go with it. Of course, that will require metal, so I spend the rest of the day smithing, creating metal for what I need. At last, I have all the metal sheets, just to realize my metalworking sucks, despite my smithing being great. So I start welding the sheets together using welding rods and then cutting them down again. But I guess it's still better than risking going out there with a burned hand, as I would also struggle to get any decent materials out of dismantling cars with my current skills. My hand doesn't hurt anymore, and it looks like the burn has healed. But it left a nasty scar though. I spent the rest of the day repairing and rebuilding my engine, now that I have enough skill and materials to do it. Not too shabby. With the weather getting colder, I put on an extra shirt on top of the t-shirt, and the vest for good measure. It has a hole, but I'll repair it when I get better with tailoring. I start my day by going to the gas station and filling up my gas cans, propane tanks, and fill up the tank now that it's repaired. I fill up the generator and don't forget to check its condition this time. Then I place the rest of the cans away from it, just in case. It's time to grab myself a paintbrush. Back to the warehouse as I go. Same plan as before. I need to secure myself before going in, but this time I feel there are more zombies and a higher number of sprinters. Staying inside for the past month really makes that apparent. I try fending off the horde of sprinters coming my way, but they get too close and I panic. I start running to try and get some breathing room and ensure they're only coming from one direction towards me, making me realize I now can run faster than them. Noted. I noticed this one just ninja running while not noticing his bottom leg stuck in my car rear bumper. Disturbing to see, but eventually rips half of his muscle mass and keeps running towards me. Having cleared the path, I look again for tools and crafting materials, finding paint, a shovel, lug wrench, screwdrivers, leaf rake, garden saw, trowel, pipe wrench, but no paintbrush. I move on to another warehouse to search for it. I managed to nab a tire pump, welding rods, wood glue, propane torches, boxes of nails, duct tape, a paintbrush, and screws before leaving the premises and heading back to base. The zombie population is too damn high. I'm guessing it's about 1.5 times higher than it was just a month ago. I'm hoping it doesn't keep increasing, but I'm not holding my breath. After grabbing a bite, I head to bed, looking forward to repairing the house tomorrow. As I descend the stairs, I hear groans coming from outside. I brace myself for battle. This lone zombie pounded on the gate all night until it finally broke, but seemed to forget what it was doing until it spotted me again. I start a new pile, repair the gate, and gather more timber. It seems I'm carving out quite a nice clearing in the forest for myself. After cutting the planks needed for constructing crates, I clear space in the garage for my new storage solution. I craft a few crates to begin with, assigning colors to them for easy organization. Next, I plaster and paint the walls before assembling the remaining crates and transferring my loot into them. Centralizing everything will save me a lot of time in the long run. With a plan in mind for the old garage, I get to work preparing. I tear everything down and start building from scratch, beginning with the glass walls followed by the glass roof. Its new purpose will be a greenhouse. I briefly consider leaving the basketball hoop, but we both know how that would end. I'll be able to cultivate some water-sensitive plants here, like carrots and strawberries. I restored the floor outside, making a path of my own. At the end of the day, I start repairing the damage to the car from my last trip and build a set of armor for the glass bars to fortify that weak point, inspired by an episode of Z Squad. After putting up a roof rack, I call it a day. Once I've repaired everything I can to a decent state, I work on my living room to restore it to its pre-fire condition. Yeah, I'm happy with this. After all of this, my main concern is improving protection by patching up my clothes with leather to save me from a bite. It won't prevent me from getting dragged down by a mob of zombies, but it could help against the odd one that catches me by surprise. Up to now, all I know is that I'm immune to the airborne strain and getting scratched. I don't want to find out if saliva will make me turn. So it's time to start working on my tailoring. Somehow, sitting outside working on this just reminds me of how my mother used to do it herself back when she was alive. As painful as it was going through her passing away, I can't help but think that it was better than being chased and eventually caught by one of them. And worse, having to face her as a zombie. Ugh, intrusive thoughts are winning here. As it rains, I use the garage for tailoring instead of indoors. It would bore me to do it inside. When I tire of standing, I read a book. Maybe I should get a couch in there? Nah, my man cave is cozy enough for reading. I'm finally skilled enough to repair the hole in the stomach of the vest. Together with the bracers, I feel protected, but there are still too many areas vulnerable to bites. Running low on cloth and thread, I go out to get more. I park outside the town to clear the motorway a bit, gathering them all into an easy-to-reach pile. And my point is proven. The problem is not the mods I'm aware of, but the one sneaky fucker that catches me off guard while I daydream. It's my bad, as I selected a spot to pile them up with the blind spot. But the bracer did give its life to save me. Well, I sacrificed it by jamming my arm into its mouth. I appreciate your brave sacrifice. I pick up all of it and make my way back home. I repeat the process, and as I run out of thread and cloth, I keep going back out to pick up more to replenish my stock. This time checking the generator condition so I don't have an explosion on my hands ever again. I run out of cloth again, and I go out to pick up more on the residential area. The number of sprinters around nowadays is scary. I'd guess about 40% of the zombies now are sprinters. And apart from the ones that I crippled by running them over, I haven't seen a crawler in weeks. I wonder if the number of sprinters will keep increasing, or will they burn out their source of energy first? I guess they spend most of their time looking at the floor, waiting for something to stimulate the reaction out of them, so it might take a while, as I'm sure they keep finding new prey to feed upon as their numbers keep growing. Can I even survive long enough to outlive them? Well, while I was lost in thought looting, I find another generator, which I immediately bring back home as it is quite late anyway. They seem to be getting shorter now. After putting the loot away, I go to sleep, ready to continue tailoring. I feel so close to perfection that I can't stop now, even though my fingers are sore from all the poking. I get good, and I start patching all my clothes. I put patches on the inside to avoid looking raggedy. Looks are still important. I don't want to look like a beggar if I meet the last woman on earth or something. I achieve the best protection the weather allows without breaking a sweat. It's challenging to find the right balance. I'll be best protected during winter times and the least during summer. I need to keep looking for cooler clothes for summertime that still provide sufficient protection. Finally, I'm ready to go. I'm fit and strong, have knowledge about how things work. Even in trouble, I should be able to magic my way out of things with crafting. I am self-sustainable at last. Fuck. I'm running out of food. You dummy. Because I found so much food in the supermarket, I completely forgot about it. I still have enough to carry on for a while, but by farming and using traps for meat, I should be able to sustain myself indefinitely. I'll start by plowing my back garden for now. And I need more metal for whatever I decide to build in the future. Food first. All I need is to plant the stuff I found so far and keep the water levels right. I plant all the tree samplings outside. I think it will look good there in the back. And some cabbages here, get it water and... oh, of course! I need more water. But first I'll read books. This morning took it out of me. Planting all those seeds wasn't as easy as I thought. Hopefully, it rains to save me the time to water them. I spend my day chopping logs and sawing them, and by the end of the day, I'm able to build the barrels I wanted yesterday. This should be enough for the crops, and a nice backup just in case. Then, it's a matter of grabbing some dirt from next door to start up my greenhouse. These plants will be diseased if watered too much, so I'll keep them here where I can control the amount of water they take. I'm running low on metal after all the repairs, building, and crafting. So I decide to start with the truck I nearly crashed into one too many times. The truck is trashed. Nothing I can do with it except wasting a lot of metal to repair it. But then it hit me. This is flammable. Can I use it to start gas? Unsure if my car will be able to drag it to the gas station, I try it anyway. And look at it go! Damn, Beetle, you strong! It's pulling it as if it was nothing. Seems my engine repairs did miracles for this little guy. But being late and the fact the truck is a mess, I decide to leave that for tomorrow. Scrap another car I already scrapped for parts, and use the rest of it to repair the storage of the truck. After trying a few different angles, I finally managed to start fueling this bad boy. Not that it makes any difference in terms of how much fuel I use, but it saves me time in the long run coming here. It's all fun in games until you flip a truck. I park it next door and make my way up to the motorway to start scrapping some cars along it for scrap. While checking the police car, I remember to check its radio. It has the automated emergency broadcast system frequency on it. I didn't even know such a thing existed. Not having high hopes of it working, I set it up in my car anyway. It does say automated, so let's see what it does. Silence. That's to be expected. I'll keep driving while listening to it. Maybe I just caught it at the wrong time, like those number radio channels people talk about. Look at that, it's alive! It appears there was warnings about the power blackout and some weather information. Nice, that comes in handy. And it seems there's a storm coming in 5 days. And then I found a motherload of metal. An intersection that shows the results of the panic and rioting of the initial days of the infection. Probably someone crashed, and after a lot of confusion and anger, it looks like someone threw a Molotov and burned some of the cars down. I start scrapping them. All these materials are going to be useful to repair my cars from here on out. Clearing the way to Muldrow first. That's probably the fastest way for me to get to Louisville. After clearing this lane, I pick up my prizes and head back home to stash them. Then I return for more, because those crits aren't going to fill themselves. After putting the loot away, I start tinkering with the TV as I need a little bit more practice for a quality of life upgrade. Together with the metal I collected, all I need is radio components, and I got myself an automated gate. Now that's a time saver! I scrap a few more cars and dispatch the zombies that were attracted by the noise. Picking up my spoils, I move up to check out the north side, and spotting a police officer with a big gun on his back, I decide to stop to check it out. And it's a Spaz 12. Amazing luck. I could be blind and still hit something with this. Picking it up, I continue north to check if there's any more goodies around. Turning the corner, I spot the same car model that I used to have. Nice. I wonder if I can find the key around here somewhere, as it's locked. I find the key for the Jeep, but not for the car I like. I checked the cinema, but besides a lot of magazines, I didn't find the key. Oh well, I'll just hotwire it then. It will be nice to have the key though. Returning to it, I uninstall its window to unlock it and tow it back home. I leave it outside for the night, as I need to make space for it in the garage. I start by uninstalling everything, repairing it and cleaning each part before installing it again. Then do a bit more of metal wielding to refine my skills, as they are still not quite up to par. I don't want to be out there wearing a metal helmet on my face. So I stay inside my garage working on the metal I have. As I go to the garage this morning, I have an unexpected visitor. A zombie was attracted to my gate by the storm and broke it. I take care of that, repair the gate, and move on to turn my new car into a tank. I get up and notice my cabbages are ready. I pick up a couple of patches of them and take my car to its inauguration trip by placing a bunch of traps using the cabbages as bait. The clearing is now actually perfect for this, and with minimal risk of encountering zombies, but a few of them still come by to say hi every now and then. Arriving home, I realize it's the 100th day since the apocalypse started, and I'm still alive! And I have just reached self-sustainability. Couldn't have happened better than this. I take the day off and decide to make some cake. But I never learned to do the batter. The magazine burned down in the fire. So I make the next best thing. Pancakes! With fruit and chocolate chips. I would have put jam, but due to the turn-in weather and not having any, I'm okay with this. I dress for the occasion and celebrate the fact that I'm alive after all of this. I'm in a cozy house that I've made my own with no end in sight for any lack of basic needs. Plenty of water, renewable food, enough fuel for a lifetime as I am the last human in the county, and I have decent skills to get by in the zombie apocalypse. Still alone, but I'm hoping people will eventually emerge. I can't be the last human in the world, even though I feel lonely. I finish my pancakes and drink bourbon. Not too much, but enough to get me tipsy and out the door. Not being able to stay put after realizing my situation, I go to Greg's grave and talk with him for a little bit, for old time's sake. And afterwards, I move on to Oliver's final resting place. After making my way clear, I am left astonished. There's a little cairn there, with a note beneath it. I pick it up and read. What? When? How? Maria was here? I rushed to the intersection, hoping I could see any marks, any side of her, tire tracks, anything at all. But all I found was more zombies. After a closer look, not even the tire marks I've been leaving are here, all washed away by the recent storms. I go home, pondering how I could have missed her, or how she could have missed me. I sit down, processing what just happened. How could this have happened? What is she still doing in Kentucky? After a deep breath, coming to the realization that it doesn't matter. She is alive, and that's all that matters. I don't know what happened to her, but as long as she is alive, I can still find her, somehow. I'll look one last time through the window before heading to sleep, happily knowing I'm not alone here, and I just need to start searching for her. I hope you enjoyed the show. Sorry it took me so long, but I kind of bit off more than I could chew here. I hope you enjoyed, and see you next time.